Well, welcome Sienna, Cypress, downtown, Loop Campus, digital family as well. Today is First Baptist Academy Day here at the church at the Loop Campus. And so I thought with it being FBA Day, and I'm repping the brand here, I got it going on, that it would be a good time for us to continue in our Good Question series. So class, you have asked me some good questions, and you've submitted them, and I've tried to put them all together a little bit for you. Now there's tons more, but we're going to try to hit a few today as we go along. So get ready, because we're going to jump in. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to answer a few questions. Then we're going to jump into Romans chapter 10, and we're going to learn a lot today. So get ready to learn some things and pull out your listening guide as well. So let's go with the first good question that we have here, and is this: should Christians be cremated? Should Christians be cremated? Interesting question. The majority of people, slight majority in the United States now, are actually being cremated because of the increase of cost of funeral costs. So that's interesting. They expect it to grow. We have in the Old Testament, there's about 3 to 5 instances of cremation in the Old Testament. Now, Christian history and biblical history generally favors burial, a typical burial. You're going to see a lot more of that here in the Bible than you are of cremation. But there's nothing in the Bible that forbids cremation. Okay? So it's really up to you. It's not a sin. It's up to you. You do what you want to do. That's your deal. Or maybe it's not your deal. It's whoever is making your plans for you deal. So tell them at lunch what you want to do. All right? Now, what I would say is this. We want to make sure that we always treat that person with the utmost dignity. Okay? We believe that the soul is gone and is in heaven with the Lord, but we always want to treat that person with the utmost dignity. That is not a flippant thing for us to do, to care for. Question 2, do miscarried, aborted, or stillborn babies go to heaven? Absolutely is the answer. Absolutely. Now, it's interesting because you've had many questions about death, okay? And so here's one of them here. Absolutely. When you think about this, you could think about it like this. In the scriptures, in 2 Samuel chapter 12, you know the story of David and Bathsheba. Bathsheba gets pregnant. She has a baby with David. He lives 7 days. The baby lives 7 days, and David is fasting and praying and asking for the baby to be able to live. They know that the baby is not strong enough to live, and he's praying for a miracle. And we get to 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 22. It says, while the baby was alive, I fasted and wept because I thought, who knows, the Lord may be gracious to me and let him live. But now he is dead, why should I fast? Can I bring him back again? Now listen, key. I'll go to him, but he'll never return to me. Okay? So David is saying, when I get to heaven, I'll go to him, he won't return to me. Now, this cross right here that I brought this from our home this morning. This is in our study, and my study at our home. This cross symbolizes my wife and I's miscarriage that we had. Our children are 6 years apart. In between that time, we had a miscarriage, and we have this as just an honoring, and it really baffles my mind that at some point I'll step into heaven and somebody will say, Dad, to me, and I'll meet that little boy or that little girl, and that's a great thing. So if you've gone through that, I want you to know we've cried those tears. We've cried those tears. And so, yes, a miscarried or aborted or a stillborn baby, yes, they go to heaven. And they are with the Lord right now, and you can take great, great trust in that. Number 3, a little bit lighter on the death quotient. Will there be animals in heaven? All right. Will there be animals in heaven? I have changed my view on this. I used to say no, and then I got so many emails, I just said, let's just go for yes. Why not? I mean, who's going to know? When we get there, you're going to find me and tell me I'm wrong? So, So let's just go with yes, all right? But I do have a few Bible things that can back up the yes. One is in Genesis chapter 1. Creation is ramping up. We're getting more and more importance in creation. Day 6 is when human beings are created. Day 5 is when animals are created, okay? So there's an importance. We have in the story of Noah in Genesis chapter 6 and chapter 7 that the animals came into the ark. And so we have that. So that's a great story as well. We have in the Old Testament talking about animals in heaven, in the new world. It says this, in the new heaven, new earth. Isaiah 65 and Isaiah chapter 11 talk about different animals that will be there, okay? In Romans chapter 8, it talks about that creation will be redeemed, right? Now let me say it real quickly though. There will be a new creation in heaven, but that does not mean that a tree has accepted Jesus Christ as their Savior, okay? Or a river or an animal. We are the only, as human beings, we are the only ones that have been created in the image of God, okay? You have a soul, I have a soul. Your puppy doesn't have a soul, okay? It's not gonna trust in Jesus as Savior. But there will be animals in heaven because of the redemption of creation, not the salvation of a soul. Now, let me say why that's really important. Because there is a difference between human beings and animals. Evolutionary thought has blurred the line. And I'm just telling you right now, you're not a monkey, you're not a dog, you're not a parakeet, you're not descended from a pink flamingo, you're not, none of that. You are created in the image of God as a human being, and Jesus sent his one and only Son to save your soul, right? And so there's a difference. And that's why if you were driving by and you were an atheist and you were driving down the street and you saw a dead animal on the side of the road, you would keep your appointment and keep going. If you saw a dead human on the side of the road, you'd slam on the brakes and call 911 because you know there's something different about a human. Now, because we don't talk about animals going to heaven much, so let me take my opportunity while I got it. There's some churches that, I don't know if you've seen this, it's around, they baptize animals. They'll have a dog baptism day, okay? I know, I get you, I'm with you. It's cute at best, and it's wrong at worst. It's wrong. It's not biblical, okay? There's two ordinances that Jesus has left us. One is the Lord's Supper, one is baptism, and baptism's not for Fifi, okay? Because Fifi hasn't trusted Jesus Christ. This is not a symbolic representation of the Romans chapter 6, verse 4, buried with Christ in baptism, raised to walk in the newness of life. That's not for our pets, okay? So don't do that. That's not wrong. Or that is wrong, is what I should say. Wrong. Don't do that. Okay? Now, the last reason, most compelling reason, let me show you a picture. That's my dog right there. That's Latte. We call him Latte Mate. Do you get that? Do you get the joke? He's got to be there, right? I mean, he's just got to be there. God knows that heaven's going to be wonderful, and it takes your dog to make it wonderful. God's so gracious, he'll be right there. Now, what happens with your neighbor's dog who's barking this morning, waking you up? I don't know, okay? But yes, animals will be in heaven. If you disagree, no big deal. You do whatever you want to do. You get up here and say you disagree, and you'll get all the emails. That'll be what happens. All right, let's go on. We got two more questions. These are going to go really, really fast. What's the church's role in government? Come back on March 26, and I will teach you Romans chapter 13 when it talks about God's government and God's role in government and the Christian's role in government. March 26, come back for that question. Last question based on an illustration last week. How is your mom doing with her new TV? That was submitted numerous times. Now the box is out and it doesn't totally work, but that's all on the cable company. She's assured me I did a good job, which is awesome to be able to hear. So